welcome everybody to Ignite Humanity Live. I am so happy to have you here. I am your host, JB Owen, and CEO and founder of Ignite Publishing, Ignite Humanity, and all about igniting you. And we are having a show each and every day, Monday through Friday, to talk about ways that we can ignite humanity. And why are we doing that? Well, because we want to inspire you and encourage you and show you how you can ignite humanity in ways that you may not have known about before. And that's why we're here, to bring you guests, information, entertainment, awakening, solutions, ideas on how you can begin to ignite humanity in your life and make an impact on others. Now, one of the missions that I have about igniting humanity is sharing with people the power of storytelling. How, when you share your authentic story, you make a difference in the hearts of others. And it doesn't matter the color of your skin. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter your gender, your job, or anything else. Our stories are what bring us together. And our stories about human perseverance, dedication, determination, those are the things that inspire us. Those are the things that make us feel unified. And those are the things that not accentuate our differences, but really bring us together and show us how we are all similar. When we share our authentic stories, we touch the heart of people. We relate to them in a new and unique way. And by telling those stories, we bring people closer together. And I truly believe that's what is going to ignite humanity. Now, today is Thursday, so we have a theme every Thursday, and today is all about solutions. So how can we find solutions in our lives? How can we take what's difficult and find a way to make it better? How can we do something we didn't even realize, and we decide that we're going to do it differently so that we can help others? The big precedent of this show is that you have the power to ignite your own life. And when you do that, you actually give people permission and freedom. And as we talked about on one of our other shows, you lead them into the ability to step into a life where they can make a difference in themselves. And when people feel empowered and inspired and grateful and thankful and enriched in their own lives, they actually go out and do things for others. The more money they have, the more money they spend on others. The more they learn, the more they educate others. The more they step into who they are, the more they accept people for being who they are. And those things are truly going to move the needle on humanity, and that's going to make a difference on a global scale. I want you to think global, people. I want you to think big and bright and powerful. I want you to imagine a life where we all are living in the center of what's possible for us, and we all are happy and genuinely true at heart with the way we are living our lives. It's not impossible. It's 100% possible, and it starts with each and every one of us, and it starts with you. All right, well, today we'll be giving you some solutions, and we'll be talking about principle number 2, which is ignite all people and connect everyone. And I love going all around the world. I love talking to people from different cultures and different backgrounds. And of course, our guest today is someone you're going to absolutely love. Ava Manuel is a strategic partner and freelance producer and senior editor at the Los Angeles Tribune and the CEO of From Show to Business, Inc. She's teaching professionals how to create their own events and stages to monetize their expertise. And we're so happy to have her on the show. Welcome, my darling. Welcome to Ignite Humanity Live.
Oh my gosh, JB, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be in Ignite Humanity. Oh my God, and be with you.
Well, we love having you, and thank you, because birds of a feather flock together. One of the things we've talked about on many of our shows, surround yourself with people that ignite you and inspire you. And you and I haven't known each other long, but I just want to give you some kudos. You really inspire me. Great attitude, such enthusiasm, such a positive attitude. How did you get that way? How did you become so positive and so enthusiastic?
Oh my gosh, JB, I grew up in the Philippines, and it was a hard life. Somehow my parents actually grew from poverty, and my mom was committed to kind of teaching me how to desire myself out of poverty by really reinforcing how life was very, very difficult. And so from a very young childhood, I have learned to find joy even in the midst of hardships, in the midst of violence, in the midst of abuse. But one of the things that really, I think, set me up, talking about I'm gonna be ahead, a little bit ahead in, like, I raised my hand and say I'd like to write on Ignite Your Faith. I'm like, because I feel like faith has been a really center of my life. And like talking about how do I have that attitude, I think it has a lot to do with faith, and gratitudes. Gratitudes and faith has a lot to do with it. So
I,
thank you.
s- I so agree with you. And for folks, if you don't know, Ignite is all about telling stories. And we've been so blessed to tell over 700 stories of different individuals around the globe from 47 different countries. We have shared stories of people's Ignite moments. And our next upcoming book is Ignite Your Faith. And Eva is part of the authors who are in that book talking about faith. And so let's just mention it. Faith was a big part of you moving through some of the difficult times into what you're doing today?
Yes, absolutely. I find myself really grateful and fortunate that I had a moment in my childhood in the midst of difficulty, in the midst of, like really not having a guide, being raised by a mom who was violent and abusive, and being with a brother who was the same, an older brother who was the same. I lived 3 houses down from a home that had like Bible studies. Like, they were having kids clapping, and they taught how to pray. And I learned that from like when I was 8 years old. And that became kind of like the guiding force in my life, that in the midst of everything, I would have not been where I am right now, nor have I been able to accomplish the things that I did through life. Because if you could imagine third world country, really in the poverty to where I am right now, I'm like, how? What was the gap between that? How did that go from one? And right now, like I look at Facebook and I still look at my classmates from the Philippines, and still being in homes where they still live with houses with the ground being soil. And I feel so blessed and fortunate that I am here where I am right now. And a lot of that has to do with faith, and really also having very, very generous parents who were willing to give it all to bring me here.
That's beautiful that you share that. I too had a neighbor down the street that I would go to Sunday school with their daughter, and I didn't go with my own family. I would go with their family, and I really do believe at that young age I was very influenced as to believe in something more than just ourselves. I think that is the key to having faith, is that it is truly about a knowingness that there is something possible, a knowingness that we're capable of doing something more, and that we're supported and that we're encouraged. And I feel from your story, and tell us even a little bit more about how that helped you get to where you are now.
So, in a lot of the hard moments, I always cried to God, and I always talked to God. I'm never alone. I'm never alone through all the hardship, through all the pains, through all of the trials. I'm always with Him, like having a best friend, but it's always with you. You don't have to like pick up the phone. And that brought me strength. That brought me sanity. And courage. Knowing that someone has my back, and I have a lot of you know admiration for how you define faith, and it's like believing in something, and it could be different for different people. However, knowing that someone has your back has allowed me to like really take courageous decisions where people would say you wouldn't qualify, you couldn't go there, like you're not good enough, there you don't have what it takes, or you don't have the qualifications, the criteria, and I do it anyway, because I know someone's got my back. I know God's got my back. And it's amazing the things that I've seen, the doors that have opened up that normally I wouldn't qualify for, because of the courage and the faith to step forward and believe that someone's got my back and someone wants it for me.
It does take a lot of courage for each of us to just persevere. I know that you have persevered a lot in your life. Can you share a little bit of what it was like when you came here, when you came to America and you started sort of rebuilding your life?
Okay. That was a very emotional part of my life, because when I came to America, I already had 5 kids. I got myself pregnant at the age of 16, had my first baby at 17, and had 2 kids, had a kid every 2 years from there. So by the time I came to America, I graduated physical therapy, and I came here to adventure to look for physical therapy jobs. I had to leave my 5 kids in the Philippines. And, I cried every day. I cried every night to sleep. It was funny because one of the times it was Christmas time, and I would go to church and they're singing all Christmas songs, and I got Christmas songs, and I'd be sobbing my eyes out, and people in church would like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm really okay." It's just that it's Christmas and we're singing Christmas songs. So that was a very, very difficult time of my life because it's kind of like that decision. For the longest time, I didn't want to come. So my mom, the reason I became a physical therapist is because my mom wanted me to be a physical therapist because it's in demand in America. And, in our culture, you do what your mother tells you to do. Like there's not another option, or you'd get killed. So when my mom said, that's what she wanted for me, I did, but I didn't want to come to America because that means I'd be leaving my kids, right?
Mm,
And so it was so difficult because it was a choice I had to make. I saw my kids growing up. They were in public schools. There was a time, I was already a physical therapist in the Philippines, but there weren't opportunities for physical therapists at that time because our health insurance system isn't established. So, I served in the communities and walked in like, beaten up paths just to ask, if they know of anybody who has difficulty of moving or who couldn't walk. And I would treat patients in their homes, in communities in the third world country, in the poorest places in the Philippines, but it's by donation only. So if they can
mm.
give anything, then I'd have something. If they can't, it's okay, and I teach their families how to help there would be like children sitting on buckets because that's all they can have, and they'd put pillows around so that the baby wouldn't kind of like fall over. um and so we were so poor. I would have like one egg, and we would like spread it so thin on a pan, and my five kids would like divide that among them with soy sauce
Mm.
and rice. And so I finally made a decision. I'm like, you know what, I can only pull this for so long, but I could see the life of my kids. They're in public schools. That was the first two oldest one. The third one, the only girl, was about to go to school, and I'm like, I gotta do something different. And so it was a painful sacrifice of knowing that I'd leave my kids for the moment, and that they'd grow up without me for a season of time, but I was doing it so that their life could be better. And so now they're all here in America, and it's a joy to know that they have such choices, like they travel, they do things, and it wasn't something that would even be remotely possible if I didn't make that sacrificial choice at that moment.
Such a beautiful story because it goes to show that one person obviously can ignite humanity because you've ignited the lives of your five kids. And you know that those five children are going to go out and do incredible things in their lives and ignite other
Yeah.
people's lives because they had a mom like you. And so, bravo, absolutely courageous. Our next book actually coming out is Ignite Courage. So we'll just have to like check your name off for that because it did take a lot of courage. Today's show is all about solutions. Can you give some advice, ideas, suggestions on how people can be more courageous? Because I think a lot of people just hearing your story might feel like I couldn't do that. She had more courage than I would have. Maybe there's some suggestions you could give to people or solutions on ways when they feel like they don't have the courage.
I would say, to me, the biggest force that pulls me forward past fear, past feeling inadequate, because when you're an immigrant from a different country, in a new place where a lot of the language at that time I couldn't quite relate to. Like there's a different, I knew English as proper English, but there are a lot of like phrases that they say that I couldn't relate to. But going past feeling inadequate, going past feeling like I don't belong or that I'm just trying hard, really is the vision of the future. Like having a vision, a clear vision of what is it that I'm creating, what is it that I want, what is it that I'm doing, at the moment, and knowing that I'm just in transition to that pulls me towards that. So instead of looking at the past or being where I am in the present, even if the present is not so encouraging, I'm like, the future pulls me forward because I envision a very, very clear and promising future that's possible. And so that's number one. It's just like having a clear vision and being so grounded with vision. But second, the one of the most powerful things that really started to like propel me forward is when I started to celebrate myself. um growing up in an Asian background where somehow it goes with the culture that kids are just being told they're not good enough. And the first things that we find in our kids are criticisms, or how they didn't spell right, or, what they didn't do right, or how it's not enough. I had to learn to celebrate myself because my inner critic is so loud that the first thing I always see myself is whatever I didn't complete, whatever I didn't get to do enough, or whatever I didn't do well enough. Like, that's the first place I gravitate to. So, like, making that shift and celebrating myself in, like, even the littlest things. One day I realized, I was so disappointed, one evening, that I didn't complete the things that I wanted to do. But then there were a lot of things that got done, and I'm like,
Exactly.
and I'm like realizing, so, what about the others that got done? And so,
Yeah, take
and
stock of what you did accomplish.
and the way I was able to shift, I was so discouraged. I started to cook. Cooking for me is like my creative. And I just get the flow and the joy when I start cooking. So I started cooking. And then that's when I kind of realized, like, why are you so bummed? Like, you did amazing things today. You started a 21-day fast, you bought everything that you did, but all of that got forgotten, and all of that just became like nothing, because then I looked at the things that I couldn't do. So from then on, I made a point to celebrate. At the end of the day, celebrate myself. And you know what that powerfully did is that it improved and it strengthened my confidence in myself. I started believing in myself more. I started believing I can do some things. I started believing I could complete things, and it came from a place of celebrating myself.
So good. Ding, ding, ding. I love that. And a lot of people say to me also, like, how do you get so much done? Or how do you not have that negative voice? And I'm just like everyone else, and probably like you. I have the negative voice, but I just turn it down. I just turn the volume down and sort of turn up the volume on celebrating myself. And that really does actually help. It's a practice, wouldn't you agree? It's something you need to like be conscious of. It's something you need to put effort into.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, literally, I would have actions that would create celebrations in my life, because sometimes my inner being does not want to. Somehow we have an idea that it's supposed to be a good thing to be criticizing ourselves, or we're punishing ourselves, or we're talking down at ourselves. But I would like jump up and down, I would like pull things up from heaven and say yes, and so I just kind of built this little energetic bursts that shifts my energy from a place of criticizing myself and judging myself and how I'm not good enough. My mom's voice plays so loud, that I had to like make a physical movement, so that with that physical movement, emotions follow and mindset shifts.
That is so true. I mean, what you think, you create. What you believe, you achieve. And celebrating ourselves. I mean, we just don't do that enough. We're always sort of paying attention to what we didn't do, or what we didn't focus on, or what we didn't complete. And actually taking the time to really celebrate ourselves is really, really beautiful. All right, got any more hiding in there? Any more other great solutions?
Trust. One of the things that I really, really struggled with myself, especially looking at right now, I've developed myself to a place where I'm a transformational leadership coach. And talking about transformational leadership, my biggest challenge was trusting myself, like, to even be in front of someone and to coach them, and trust yourself that you're going in the right direction, you're asking the right questions. And a lot of times when I was still training, I would defer to a senior coach and I wouldn't say anything, because I felt like what I was saying is probably not in the right direction, or that I'm not saying enough. And so all of that I realized was a habit. The habit of not trusting yourself, the habit of questioning what you're about to say, the habit of editing what you're about to say, the habit of, how questioning and judging how you show up. And I started changing that habit. I started like, when I have an idea, I'll trust it and I'll do it. And of course there's always adjustments, but that forming the habit to trust yourself, and to like even be aware when you're not, like realizing like, okay, I'm second guessing myself, like, why would I do that? Like, let's go ahead and trust, let's go, and really being in that motion of it's never a destination, right? Like it's always a journey, and we never get things right the first time, but then we learn and we do it a second time and we do it a third time. Talk about creating shows and events. When I first created my first two events, it was a flop, right? And some people would have probably say it's not for me because it's a flop, but that's where everybody starts, right? Everybody starts, being awkward in your walk like babies. I actually have six kids. One was born here in America. But, to watch them, being awkward in their walk and dropping and falling and then getting up again, that's how we do life. And to know that nothing's wrong. It's part of growing up, it's part of the process.
I always tell people you have to take each and every step to get to the next step. You can't skip any rungs in the ladder, because if not, then you'll fall down. And so you have a really good point. By going through each thing, by learning it, by struggling, by it not being perfect, you actually learn
Absolutely.
how to make it better. If everything was just perfect right out of the gate, we probably wouldn't have the ambition and the courage and the faith that we do now as individuals, because it just is so easy. And so
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm a huge proponent of you just go at it, try it, like give it an effort, and then tweak it, make it better, make it more interesting, figure out how you can make each little step better and better. Well, I want to congratulate you. 6 kids, that's phenomenal. You are doing an amazing work at being a fantastic parent, and also teaching other people how they can grow their business, grow their brand, grow their personal self-worth. Tell us a little bit about From Show to Business. What is that exactly?
Well, from show to business, actually, I started with creating events. Being a physical therapist, frustrated with seeing patients in the hospital, only to know actually and to tell them what they could have done differently a month or two ago, so they're not in the position they're in. But whenever I see them, I'm kind of like in the late end. So I looked for ways to change healthcare and also be in front of patients before they're worse, before they're in the hospital, by creating different shows and and different events. And from there I got a mentor and I started doing summits and masterminds and challenges and all of that. And as with anything we do with passion, because I just really became passionate with it, I found my joy. I came alive doing these events. Opportunities just opened up, opportunities with the Los Angeles Tribune, with Adora Evans, partnering with big names like Dennis Waitley, and your mentor too, JB Owen, Les Brown. It's amazing that when you do things in passion, doors open for you. And so now I'm in this place of, instead of just creating events, I still am creating events and organizing events. Now I am teaching people how they can do that. So really, the whole concept from show to business, because a lot of people in the show business does not really treat it as a business, and a lot of people in business don't treat it as a show. So like
Mm,
marrying them together, knowing that the moment we come on camera like we do, we're always marketing, right? We're always marketing before we even offer anything. We're always
mm,
marketing to people, and that's
mhm.
kind of like the essence of from show to business.
And you and I could both agree, and I mean, we could talk about this forever, but of course, we're coming near the end. Just before we close, can you talk about the importance of authenticity? Because From Show to Business, and people are doing things, and we're all in events and summits and all of that, and even on TV, one of the most important things is authenticity.
Absolutely. One actually, it's the very, very base, the foundation. Whenever I teach from show to business, is coming first in understanding your story, understanding your story and telling your story, because you don't actually have to sell, when you can tell and articulate your story well. And so authenticity from a place of rawness. There was one advice that I encountered that made so much sense. He said, if you don't know your niche, talk to the person that you were 5, 10 years ago. and
Mm,
and like, describe yourself 5, 10 years ago. I was broken, I felt alone. I failed in a lot of things, I was judging myself. Talk to that person, because you know her so well, I know her so well. And that's from a place of authenticity, like that whole being transparent, like, I'm not a superwoman and I know more than what you do, or but knowing that we're just in different parts of the journey, and we're not better than each other, but we're in this together, from that
mm.
place of just authenticity.
Great advice. I love that you said you don't have to sell, you can just tell and you can
Yeah.
just show. I mean, actions speak louder than words, of course, and authenticity is key. Well, I thank you so much for being here. We're going to show our guests where to find you if they'd like to know more about what you're up to and how they can check you out and all the fun things that you were doing. Of course, she's going to be in our Ignite Faith book coming out in June. And I'm doing some fun things with the LA Tribune. And so I just want to say thank you so much for collaborations and connection. Number 2 principle of Ignite Humanity is unite all people and connect everyone. And I feel deeply connected to you. Thank you so much, my darling. And thanks for being on the show.
Such an honor. Thanks.
As you can see, folks, your story is important and it matters. And by hearing someone else's story, you actually feel more connected and closer to them. And being authentic is so important. And as Eva said, it's so important that you come to a place where you want to talk about you, where you celebrate you, where you share you, where you are inspired by what you're doing, and you're really supporting others in doing the same. Well, we want to hear about you, and we want you to share about your authentic truth and tell us a little bit about what you're up to, and maybe even be on our show. Go to ignitehumanity.life/share and tell us what you're up to and how your story has helped you ignite humanity. You have a story. Your story is important and valuable and inspirational to others. And when you share that story, you give them permission to do the same. And in doing that, people feel that they're capable of igniting other lives. And folks, I hope you can see that that will become a ripple effect that will ignite humanity. If you want to know what we're up to, just go to our website, ignitehumanity.live. We'll tell you all about what we're doing to ignite the planet. We're building schools. We're doing a documentary. We're creating the largest compilation book ever made called Ignite Humanity. And if you'd like to be a part of what we're doing, check it out and go to our website. If not, what I would say to you is today or tomorrow or the next day when you wake up, decide that you are going to make that decision to be someone who empowers others, and you are going to ignite humanity. We heard from our guest how she made the decision, broke the habit, made the conviction, and raised her consciousness to ignite others. And we want to ask that you do the same. Why? Because when you ignite your life, you ignite others' lives. And when you ignite their lives, they ignite someone else's lives. And when you ignite that many people's lives, it is only inevitable that you will ignite humanity. One of the ways that we like to do that is through building our schools. We are committed to building schools in impoverished nations, and you can help us do so by going to our charity, ignitehumanity.life/donate, and give a little bit of your funds to build bricks and build schools, to pay for bricks to build schools in many different countries, Indonesia, Cambodia, Pakistan. We're even trying to build a school in India. We'd love your support. So go to ignitehumanity.life/donate, and every single dollar you donate is a brick to one of our schools. Well, we hope we've been helpful and fun. We've given you some solutions and inspired you. The whole point of this show is that you walk away feeling like, you know what? I can do this. I can make a difference in somebody else's life. It's going to start with me, but I absolutely can do something to help ignite humanity. Ooh, I was rhyming there. All right. Well, many blessings to you. Have a great day, and we will see you again next time.
Now, more than ever, we need to come together to connect with one another. We need to feel the truth in who we are and let go of everything that's happened in the past. We need to empower every person on the planet and awaken hearts, enliven souls, come together, laugh, play, rejoice, connect, create, and love. It's time to ignite humanity. We want you to be a part of something that will impact the future for everyone. We want you to tell your story, share your Ignite moment, show people who you truly are. Be a part of igniting humanity and making a difference in the world and all of our futures.